Hello Miss, my name is Felicia, Setiawan.
Hello Miss, my name is Natasya.
And my name is Miss Audrey Wijaya. We're from English Professional Design Class B.
Alright, tell us about your school from kindergarten up to the present time.
I was actually born in Singapore, so I had my kindergarten at Raintree International. After that, my family moved to Malacca City in Malaysia, and in there I studied at St. Mary Chinese School. However, I had to move to Kuala Lumpur for my middle high school, where I went to Charterhouse International School. Although at senior high school, I had to return to Singapore, where I had learned at Woodland Secondary School. And last year, I had decided to go to Indonesia alone. And currently in Indonesia, I'm studying at Universitas Multimedia Nusantara.
Now, what type of house would you like to live in the future, and why?
My ideal house is a place with a color tone of a slightly darkish color, so it will make a cozy atmosphere. I also hope that this house will be on a higher altitude. In addition, I want a house that which looks small, but in truth it's quite large. And I hope this house will have an infinity swimming pool. Lastly, I would love a house with a hidden compartment to add a hint of mystery. What sort of thing do you do in your free time and why?
Well, I'm a big fan of reading. I try to spend some quality time with a good book whenever I have the chance. It helps me escape from reality, and apart from that, I love going for hikes and spending time in the nature. It's refreshing and rejuvenating for me. So the reason I enjoy reading, it's because I can totally relate with the book I'm reading. It has a magical ability to transport the readers to the different realms of the book. And hiking while exploring the beauty of nature is definitely a worthwhile sensation. It helps you clear your mind as well.
What is your favorite type of music and why? Has your taste in music changed over the years? Why and why not?
That's an easy one for me because I absolutely love rock music. The energy, the rawness, and the powerful lyrics just resonate with me like no other genre. But surprisingly, my taste in music hasn't changed much. I've always been drawn to rock ever since my teenage years. It may have evolved a bit within the genre, enjoyed exploring different subgenres like classic rock, alternative rock, or even heavier form like metal, but the core essence has remained the same. The reason why my taste has remained constant, I think it's mainly because rock music speaks to my soul. It somehow managed to express emotion and experience in a way that really connects with me. Right. So Feli, why did you choose UMN for your bachelor degree and why did you choose VCD as your major?
First of all, I chose UMN for my bachelor's degree because their study program. I've checked the curriculum for all 4 years and I found that UMN's curriculum is superior to other competing universities in this country. Second, the location of the university is lively. I could have an easy access anywhere I want to. Lastly, it's because I have a realistic chance to get in. I haven't been the best student at high school, so it would be kind of waste for me to send my application to universities that won't even look at my GPA. Then I chose VCD as my major because I've always enjoyed simple aesthetic design. One thing that fascinates me the most is that simple design could actually convey a lot of message, and the people could even understand the message it in. I chose this major because I want to learn designs that are practical and could inspire a lot of people.
Feli, tell us something about the place where you are living at the moment.
The place I'm living at the moment is peaceful and quiet compared to other parts of the city, away from all the hustles. The neighborhood here is friendly and willing to help each other out. There is also a lot of parks and green spaces available, which is great for taking in fresh air in the morning. I also love that there's a good enough variety of restaurants and shops nearby. From my point of view, this place is actually a really great area for young people, especially families with young kids, as there are plenty of parks and open spaces. There are a variety of public transportation here, which make commuting around the city very convenient as well as cheap. It also close enough to my university. I don't need a lot of time to commute there. All I could say about the place I'm living at the moment is a really great place and a convenient place to live.
So from the picture, we can see there's a male designer. He looks British or maybe European from the blonde hair and the white skin. He's wearing a blue sweater and glasses. He looks very focused on doing his work. And he appears to be a graphic designer and is designing some brand logo. His table is very messy with a lot of his art tools. And right now, the male is painting on his sketchbook. Might be coloring the logo for his design. And in front of him, he's got a Mac computer. He's also designing the brand digitally with Adobe Illustrator. There are several techniques used by graphic designers such as typography, the art of selecting and arranging and styling fonts, which is essential in graphic design. The second is color theory, which plays a vital role because color can evoke emotion and convey certain message. The designer will experiment with the color palettes, combination, and contrast to enhance the overall visual. The third is composition, which refers to the arrangement and organization of the visual elements, such as rule of third, grid, symmetry, white space, etc., to achieve the balance of the design. And the fourth is visual branding. So graphic design often collaborates with client and to develop a visual identity that represent their brand. This includes designing the logo, selecting the brand image, the brand color, creating visual guideline, and maintaining consistency across different platforms.
In the picture, we can see a man coloring the artwork in digital. However, his left hand is holding a color chart. This is because of reason color chart is used to choose a color as precise as possible. However, nowadays people are able to choose a color more easily because of a rise in variety of software. Type of software for digital graphic are like Adobe Illustrator, Corel, Medibank, and they are usually used to make illustration or other form of art. However, software like Adobe Photoshop is more used to recreate some photo with digital imaging, and Adobe InDesign is used to recreate layout. Even though they are more software than Imagen, Adobe is one of the mainstream software because they have worked on this software for a long period of time, which recreate a simpler process. For example, the activity in the picture is now rarely used because of a rise of a few tools. One of them is the eyedropper. Using this tool, we are able to choose a color from another picture.
In the picture here, I can see a man wearing glasses and a dark blue shirt with long sleeves working on a 3D environment asset with 2 monitors. In the background, there's another coworker, most likely doing the same thing. On the monitor here, there is a design of an environmental symmetry in 3D. In my point of view, making assets in 3D as well as 2D is one of the important skills a designer must have. The other important skill designers must have is mastering typography, mastering Adobe design software, motion designs, and color theory. Typography is important because when designing we need text to convey message, as some might not understand the pictures very well. Mastering design Adobe software is important, it's like the basic because it's the application we use for designing. Motion design is also important because today's platform like TikTok and YouTube requires a dynamic content. Lastly, color theory is one of the important skills because colors could make a massive impact on the design. Color selection could even impact the viewer's mood.
So, what do you guys usually use to design?
I usually use Adobe Illustrator dan
Bang.
ya udah ntar cut lah.
Apa aku pengen ketawa? Okay. So, what do you guys usually use to design?
I usually use Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop for my work.
Me too, but I'm also using InDesign, which is actually very good for layouting and making books.
Right, InDesign is so handy for designing book with a lot of pages. Is using it make our design process more efficient?
But Adobe Illustrator is still a good use, right?
Yeah, but the file size when you're using it just enormous. It's actually better to use InDesign for it as it's more practical and also the specialty from the program too.
But I prefer to use Photoshop though. It's easier when you're making books with a lot of illustration and they have a large selection of painting tools.
Yes, these days this book market really have a high demand toward illustration, especially when the characters are simple or endearing.
You're very right about that. This type of illustration is really favored by teenagers these days.
Not really. Those kind of illustration might seem too childish for some people, like me.
I believe not like everybody prefers something endearing or simple.
Yeah, some of them just like the type of illustration that is complicated or heavily detailed.
Oh, just like the painting in the Renaissance era?
Yes, just like that with a heavy realistic illustration and warm tone of color.
For real, some people just like something historic so much they can't move on.
But it's not really relevant with the design trend this day. I mean, the book covers at my local bookstore, they have a lot of simple design on it.
I think that because of the designer and the illustrator of the book is Gen Z, so the book cover look more simple.
They usually also develop a style which make the audience could easily recognize their work.
Wow, so this kind of strategy could enhance the company image too, right?
Yes, they usually hire designer to make the brand look more original. This is really important, especially to a new business, so the target market has a good perception and image of the brand.
They usually ask us to make a bunch of merchandise like calendars, business cards, booklets.
Yeah, the more professional and the unique the design is, the better.
Yeah, this way the audience could recognize the brand or the business easily and the brand become more and more memorable to that person.
That is the biggest reason why graphic designers are really important for branding and business.
Well, they could pay us more though.
Right, the workload is never equivalent to the work we are put in.
The amount of time it takes us to make one good branding is just a lot. Although we don't really share the belief that the higher ups really understand their subordinates, like especially us graphic designers.
Absolutely.
I agree with you guys.
Do you think the media has a big impact on our everyday lives?
Kok aku ngomong I agree sih?
Tahu
Bentar
kan?
dulu.
Nggak tahu.
Bentar dulu, ya udah Val.
Iya kan?
Iya bener. Aku yang otak aku udah ada dan tiada gitu sekarang.
Okay.
Ulang.
Do you think the media has a really big impact on our everyday lives?
I agree. Almost every day we are access to our social media in our phone, whether we are bored or just curious about other people's life.
Right, when accessing social media, we're already exposed with the media itself, such as picture, caption, poster, and videos.
Not only social media, television also counts as one.
Even though none of us using it,
It is usually, it's the main media that older generation use.
Even in our childhood, we are already exposed to media.
from the television, the game we play, illustration books that read by our mother.
Now that I think about it, media does really have a big impact on our lives, even in our early days.
The media impact us by giving us teachings and inspiration from around the world.
Media also build a perception and association through the image of something in commercial.
They're really persuasive in this commercial though.
It is kind of annoying when it's misleading though.
Right, that's why it's really important to us to set a boundary to the media we are exposed to.
How so?
You should really double check and filter every information you gain from social media.
You should clearly do that. This day, a lot of people just make up any kind of information to go viral.
Whoa, that's sick. Parents must really supervise their kids when they're on the internet.
Because nowadays the internet goes with trend, and some of them might really be dangerous, as in you could die, but some of them are inspirational. Well, and today's generation have a characteristic to be easy influenced and fear of missing out, FOMO.
So that's why people get to try a lot of new things because they are FOMO.
But it still depends on the people. Some of them might take it in a negative way, but while some of them get heavily inspired.
Right, we will always be exposed and surrounded by medias.
Unless we are in a habited island, no one is living there, so there will be no sign or signal to access the online media.
In the end, whenever we met people, we always meet the medias.